After Dark. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia, and welcome to my online class to go for this week. So each week on Tuesday nights I do a live class. We make 3 projects, and for anyone who places an order in my online store before the end of Saturday night of $75 or more, and that's before shipping and after any Stampin' Rewards redemption, I'll send you the kits to make 2 each of the 3 cards from this week's class. So you'll get all the cardstock, designer series paper, any die cuts that are not part of the featured bundle, and any ribbon or twine. Any die cuts that are part of the featured bundle, I'll include the cardstock or designer series paper if that's what's used, but you will need to die cut yourself. So this week's bundle is the Forever Florals bundle. So I'll just switch my camera around. So these are the 3 cards for this week, and just bring in, so this is the stamp set. So you've got a few different sentiments, and then you've got the flower, the flower and leaf image, and then the dies to go with it. You've got a few different sentiment labels, die cut flowers and leaves, both ones that you can use on their own, and then also ones that die cut the stamped images. And then you've also got this larger one. So let me bring this one out. So you've got this one, which is what I've used on the first card. Now, one of the, well, I shouldn't say issues, but one of the downsides for those in Australia like me, and also the UK and I think most of Europe, basically anyone who uses the A4 sized cardstock, these dies are designed to fit the US and Canadian 8.5 by 11. So I've used it on this first card, and originally, so it's actually the perfect width for our card bases, but it's a little too short to have sort of even bordering. Initially, when I was putting this one together, I had just the one layer that was a larger border, but when I started to put that together, I didn't like that, so I made it a very narrow border, and I've actually got that one here. So the narrow border looked much better, but then I decided I didn't like how wide the border was at either end. It was just a little bit too big. So what you can do, you can, if you want, you can cut the card size down a little bit, just shorten it a bit, or for my second one, I just added another layer, so another border underneath. I didn't actually use a full size piece of DSP. I just cut a couple of strips and put one at each end, so it just gives you another layer. There's no layering on the sides for this one, because it is essentially the perfect width for your largest layer, so you're not going to have any extra there, but we will have them top and bottom. All right, so we will start with this one. Hi Dimity, how are you? So for this one, I've gone with a pool party base, and then I've die cut some of the other or the images that we'll need. I've got one of the sentiment labels, a pool party circle using the Spotlight on Nature dies, and then I've got some pool party two-tone. Now, when you die cut this one, you will get this piece from the center. Don't discard this. We're actually going to use it. I've used a 2.5 inch punch. These aren't available in the store anymore, but if you've still got one, or if you have any of the dies that are going to get you a similar size circle, we are going to get that from the inside of that center cutout, and there we have circles. So let's start putting some of this together, because I've got a few extra layers. I decided just to use up some of my Lights of Aurora paper. I'm actually going to put that underneath. You could just use regular Pool Party, and if you wanted to add a bit of extra, the extra color, just ink blend a little bit. So this one I have cut to size, so to match the die cut. So just add adhesive all the way around, and I am going to add a few little bits to these center pieces. Don't go too thick, particularly as you've got lots of little holes for the flower centers and the leaves. We just want everything to sit nicely, so we're just going to add just a little bit to a few bits and pieces. Make sure it's not too thick so it doesn't squish out the sides. When you press it down, and I think that is probably going to be enough. All right, so this one is going to cover this piece exactly, providing I line it up properly. Just adjust that slightly, good to go, and then just gently press down on all the inside parts, just so that it sits nicely and doesn't all sort of start peeling up from the center. All right, then we're going to add the Pool Party. So I've gone with the light side for this, and this one's got quite a narrow border. You could go a little thicker if you wanted to. Thank you, Dimity. Yes, I decided that I didn't want to waste that centerpiece, particularly as it was it's the shimmer paper. And I needed something for the center part to sit on, so I figured I just went through my punches, found one that was the right size, and went with that. All right, and then we're just going to add, so I've just got another couple of pieces of the Lights of Aurora, so I just want to check and make sure that when I put this down that it's going to all fit properly, and just make sure that my pieces, my layers or the borders are the right size thick enough but not too thick. So let's pop that one down, and then I'm going to actually pop that back in place and just check that that's about where I want it, and just make sure that's, oops, make sure it's straight and doesn't slide around too much. There we go. And we'll do the other one. Oops. Alrighty, and then we'll just make sure that that is going to be how I want it. Yep, that's looking good. So we'll just get that pressed down. So I'm happy with that. So we can pop this one all down now. Alrighty, and there we go. Alrighty, now we will pop this one down onto the center, and then when we pop this one down, because this outer circle is ever so slightly bigger and I quite like the way this works, so I've deliberately not put much adhesive on the very inner pieces, because I'm actually going to, when I pop this down, any of the flowers and leaves that are going to overlap, I'm going to overhang those over the top. So I'm just going to pull this one up so I can slide it under to start, and then just gently pull up any that overlap, slide it around ever so slightly, and so then you've got all those little bits overlapping the edge. Alrighty, then we'll get the sentiment label, and I'm using, when I find it, here we go, Peaceful Pine. And where did my sentiment go? There it is. Make sure it's all inked up properly. There we go. Alrighty. So I will add, and I got a bit of a smudge there, but that's all right. We will cover that up. So once I find my dimensionals, here we go. so this one we're going to pop up, but I'm not going to stick it down straight away. I want to get it all lined up and then add the leaves first. The flowers are going to sit higher up, but the leaves are going to be underneath. Here's some I prepared earlier. Oh, one more. Come on. Out you come. There we go. All right, so I've got two of the leaves, two of the larger sets of flowers, and two of the smaller. So those are going to sit, I reckon, probably about there. Maybe we pull that one up and that one around, so about there, I think. So let's add some adhesive when it decides to. There we go. When it decides to join us. Come on. Just trying to avoid squeezing it too hard because I don't want too much coming out at once. So that's going to go center, and we will pop that one about there. And then we'll do the same with this one. Just watch that you don't go over the score line. But I think, actually, let's bring that one up. Let's just check. I think if we bring that one up, yeah, bring that one up a little bit higher, and we'll just press that down. So now we can add this one because the flowers are going on top. Alrighty, so flowers are going to go around the edge, and I may, well, I could cover the little smudge up, or I could just add an embellishment over that, but those ones are going to sit about there, and then these ones will go to the top. So I am going to add, because these are sitting up, I am going to add dimensionals, just probably, I think I can get away with just, and I will add an embellishment over that center so we don't have to worry about that showing up. And I reckon another, just going to cut a small piece. I think it was for this one. I might need to adjust that if it's, we go there, that'll be fine because that will end up being covered. And add a little bit of adhesive to the part that's going to sit on the sentiment panel. Just take off that excess, there's a little bit too much there. Alright, so we can pop that one down there, and then this one is going to sit about there, so that's going to partly cover that dimensional over there, so we want probably one up there. Yeah, that one. And we can probably get away without one there. And I might just add a small piece over that larger gap there, largely because it will most likely be covered, and if it's not, we will add an embellishment over it and make sure it is covered. Just add a little bit of glue over the sides there, and then we can, and yeah, let's just also pop that over that little smudge, and I'll just slightly adjust that dimensional. That's fine. Oh, one of these is trying to escape, so we're going to pop one of the yellow ones over the top there. These ones will just sit flat, so we'll just add a bit of glue. And then over the other one. Oops, that was a bit much. Spread it out. All right. And we pop that one on. So most of those, if not almost all, let's just adjust that slightly, and that will cover let's rearrange this one. Just rearranging based on covering up dimensionals, but also factoring in where the gems are going to sit, so they're not all too close together. So hopefully this will work. So for gems, I have a few. Let's see, we're going to add some of those and possibly some of these ones. So I'm going to start with a couple of the small yellow ones. And we'll add some, oops, of the pink. And going to also add a couple of these ones, but that's better. And then we will just chuck a few of these are some of my very old pearls that I'm using up. We used to get the strips in these packs, so I'm just going to add a few of these ones because these are nice and small, if they will cooperate with me. And let's see. Oops, come on. There we go. All right, one more. Said one, not two. Come on, off you get. There we go. Alrighty, last one. Where shall we go? Let's go with one of these little pink ones. You could also add some around on the outside as well, but I'm going to go with that for these ones and just double check that I have covered up everything that needs to be covered up. Let's just adjust that bit ever so slightly. There we go. Alrighty, and there is the first one done. Okay, on to the next one. Bring this one back in. So for this one, I have used Darling Duckling for the base, and I have got some Golden Glow, I think this is. Let me just check. Yep, some of the Golden Glow two-tone, some embossed white, DSP, and my die cut pieces. So I've got 3 of the flowers, 3 of the leaves, and the sentiment label, and a larger sentiment label. So, oh, I need, where's my ribbon? We also need ribbon to join. All right, let's do this first part. Now from memory, I think this one was a fairly, so let's go this way because it's not quite as straight at the bottom. I think it's an almost, yeah. Sometimes I do these when I've got 2 pieces, I'll have them overlapping. Sometimes I don't overlap and just cover the join with the ribbon. So we can add some adhesive there. Hi Marley, how are you? Nice to see you. We are just starting on the second card, and I've got that a little bit crooked. Let's try and fix that up. Oh, it is not let's take that off and try again. Not cooperating with me tonight. Alrighty, that's looking a bit better. Although it's not quite. No, it's not. Let's see if I can. Oh, I'm making a mess of this one tonight. Let's try and straighten that up. That's a bit better. A little too close to the top, but we will make that work. We will just move this piece down a bit closer to the bottom because we can cover with the ribbon, so that is absolutely fine. I'm good, Molly. Very happy it's the evening. Can hear all the frogs going. It's very wet here at the moment and the frogs are going nuts. You probably can't hear it because the noise suppression is pretty good, but they're making a lot of noise. Alrighty, so this ribbon is well, it's probably retired now. It was on last chance list for a while. Don't think it's available, but I've got, for anyone who is placing an order for the kits, I do have plenty, and this is included. Morning for you. Whereabouts are you? Oh, you can hear them? Oh wow. Yeah, they're quite loud. Normally the noise suppression is pretty good, but yeah, okay. Hopefully the train doesn't go past, because that's quite loud. I think on Zoom it's a little better with the noise suppression and you don't hear it as much, but I'm not doing this one through Zoom, so it's possibly not quite so good. Canada, nice. My good friend Connie is in Canada, although she is about to head over to the UK to visit a friend. Alrighty, let's stick this one down. Just making sure I haven't forgotten anything. I am easily distracted. Okay. Dimity, I haven't seen any down here. I'm sure we do in some areas. I haven't seen them around here, but that doesn't mean they're not around. You would get them where you are though, don't you, Dimity? Alrighty. Now let's stamp the sentiment so we can stick that together, and that will help with placement of the flowers. So I'm using Peaceful Pine again. It is a nice background sound, Marley. I do quite like it. You kind of forget about it, kind of just blends in, but yeah, it's a nice sound. Alrighty. Hopefully I've got that somewhat straight. Alrighty, so I cut this one from Darling Duckling two-tone, so I'm using the light side for this one. Okay, so I will add the dimensionals to this one now so that we can get this one in place. And I've got some dimensional backings trying to escape. And a couple more. There we go. Alrighty, so that is going to sit there. It feels very uneven. I think that's just my imagination. So the leaves we will sit flat, and we just want to line them up roughly on the points of the sentiment. We just want to make sure they're all going to sit nicely and everything is going to fit. So let's line those up, and I will pop up the flower tops when we get to that. That's about right, so I think that's looking pretty good. This one I'll probably bring down a touch. We just want them sitting just underneath the label. So let's just keep that in place while we add these. It's fine if the leaves overlap the edge of the panel. You just don't want them overlapping either the score line in the center or over the edge, the very edge of the card. And then the last one, get the little bits of fluff off the end of my glue. And we can pop that one down. Move. I'm just going to move that one ever so slightly. There we go. I think that's about right. And we can add dimensionals to these ones. Just chuck in a couple of smaller ones just so that they sit evenly or slightly more even than they otherwise would. I've just got bits of adhesive sticking to my fingers. Surprise, surprise. Okay, that should be, come on, let's just add one more there. Alrighty, so we can take these off and add them to our flowers. And then, because I decided there is a stamp in the set if you want to stamp the centers of the flowers, I decided I'm going to use one of the shimmer brushes instead. You could also use Wink of Stella if you'd want clear glitter rather than coloured. I'm going with Golden Glow. I'm actually going to leave normally so with the white ring, normally you take that off, particularly when you start, so you can squeeze the ink, not the ink, the glimmer out. I usually put it back afterwards just in case stuff, because things tend to get thrown around, and I should probably put this bit down. And if they happen to get stuff lands on them and starts squeezing the center barrel too much, then you're going to have a little bit too much coming out. So I always put it back once I'm finished, but that is totally optional. And I did find the other day that there was a bit more that had come through than I would ideally like, so I'm not going to bother taking it off for now, because there's more than enough glimmer on the brush, particularly for what I'm doing, so I don't need to take it off. But normally you would take that off, and if you need to get more of the glimmer out, then you would take it off so that you can squeeze the barrel and get a bit more out. Probably would have made more sense to start from the right hand side and move back to the left, but oh well. Alrighty, that will do for those. And then, we need to add the insert. I didn't do that for the previous card, but that's alright. I can do that later. Just check which is the, might have to take the lid off. Okay, just pop this one down. And then we can bring that back over. So embellishments for this one, I am going with, once I find them, some of the in color butterflies and some of the iridescent foil gems. So these ones are retired, possibly on last chance list maybe, but probably retired. These ones are very current. But we've got plenty of alternatives to these foil gems that you can use. So I'm going to pop a few of those on, and then just a couple of the butterflies. You go with whatever colour butterflies you like. I'm going with one large and one of these small ones, and that one I'm going to put over there. And that is our second card done. Alrighty, one more to go. Let me just rearrange a few bits and pieces, bring this one back in. So this one, we have a crumb cake base. And then once I pull out all my cardstock, so we've got some basic beige. This is actually the basic beige two-tone. Some DSP, we've got some Blackberry Bliss two-tone or DSP. And this is the some of the shimmer vellum, the sunset. I think it's the sunset shimmer vellum. So let's start putting this together. And one thing I just want to check before I do is make sure, because these pieces are all the same length, so I just want to make sure that I have cut them all the same and that I don't need to trim. I think that's pretty good. And did I go with the light or the dark side? I think I went with the dark. Yeah. Alrighty. So pop this one down. Okay, and then we will pop these two down. And just line that up a little bit better. There we go. And then that can go in the center. Oops, that's not quite far enough over. That's a bit better. Let's see how that's looking. Let's just straighten it up a bit. It's looking okay. Let's pop this one down. Alrighty, now put that to the side for the moment. We would do the stamping, and I should better make sure I clean my, not that one, this one, because I used it with a different colour. So let's make sure that's nice and clean. And I am going to bring in, even though I've got the glass mat, I am going to bring in my my foam mat for this. I might I'll leave it on that side, just because some of my ink pads are a little too juicy at the moment, more than they usually are. I'm not sure what has happened, but some of them are just a little too juicy, and with some of the stamps you just need to be careful not to have too much ink, because it tends to sometimes get, or some of the spots that should be blank are not. Sentiment's fine though. Now the flower, that is one where I did have issues, so I'm going to test it out before I've got my scrap here just to see how it's going, so I might just do a couple, because you've got to try and get, you want even coverage but not too much in any particular spot. Let's see how this goes. So if you have a super juicy stamp or super juicy ink pad like I do at the moment for some of my colors that weren't previously, super light touch. But if you do have any, so if any of the little flowers end up being filled in, just cover them with an embellishment. Especially if it's just one and it's, you know, not that big a deal, just cover it, it'll be fine. And same with my leaves, but the leaves were a little better. So let's see how this goes. There we go. All good. All right, so that is all good, which is excellent. So I'm going to adhere this to the shimmer vellum, and then we can bring the card back in. So just slide that around and get it into place. And then we can bring this back. I'm just leaving this sitting flat, but you can pop it up on dimensionals if you want to give it a bit more height. And I am just going to try to add just a little bit right on the edges of this, largely because I wouldn't normally do this with these dies, but with the shimmer vellum, or mine at least, it's curling ever so slightly when I the ones that I've die cut, so I just want it to give it a bit of help to sit back down. So we're just going to add, and obviously because you've got all the little holes, you don't want to go too overboard with the adhesive, and it's vellum as well, so you don't want it showing through, but it's shimmer vellum, so it doesn't show as much, which is very handy. So we're just going to pop that down, press down gently all around, and hopefully that will stick a little nicer. Alright, then, and I did try to put this the same actually my garden green dimity, I pulled that out. It was a couple of weeks back and I pulled it out. It was to work on the 12 Weeks of Christmas projects, and my garden green had leaked everywhere. Fortunately it was in it's in a box in this room with all of my ink pads, apart from the ones that are sitting on the desk at the moment. So it was contained, but yeah, it had leaked everywhere, and I've never had a problem with it. And same with my other ink pads. I've just noticed a few of them lately they were fine, and they've now become super juicy, and I've sort of scraped off quite a bit. I don't know if it's humidity or something like that that's caused something to change, but yeah, some of them are absolutely fine, but yeah, some of them have just decided they want to be super messy. So this is just a bit of linen thread, and grab a glue dot to stick that down. Once I find one, there we go. And we'll just roll that up a bit at the back so that it sits nicely. We'll pop that down there, and then we need to add the sentiment. Not the sentiment, we've done the sentiment. Add the insert. Get that down, and then we just need to add some embellishments. So we put that one down, and then what did I use? I used the Charming Shimmer Faceted Dots. Once they decide to make an appearance, they were all right here, and now they're all hiding. Where are they? There they are. Now my original one, I had used some of the in color butterflies, but then when I did this one, I decided to add the brushed brass butterflies. So these are retired, but either one works. Use what you've got and what you prefer. And where is my thing? There it is. So we'll just add a few. And you could also add, actually I think I did, yes I did add, let's add a bit of Winter Stella. Now this is my, I might try my other one, which I think is a little, yes, let's add a little bit of Winter Stella to the centers here. You could also add gems if you got little ones, like the little the iridescent pearls or the rhinestones. You could add a bunch of rhinestones to the center. I'm going to add some butterflies, and I'm going to use one of these to slightly cover up the not so perfect stamping. There we go. And Let's set that one over there this time. Move them around, they don't have to all be in the same spot. And there we go. Hi Renee, only just saw your message pop up then. Alrighty, so let me bring the other two back in. And there we go. Alrighty, so these are this week's projects. So you have until the end of Saturday night to get your orders in. So $75 Australian before shipping and after any Stamp and Rewards redemption. And I'll send out the kits to make 2 each of the 3 cards. And let me just change my camera back. Thank you, Renee. Alrighty, so next week, let me check. Oh, Framed Violets. I do love the paper in that set, is gorgeous. So next week is Framed Violets. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you are watching on YouTube, if you like the projects and you want to see more of my classes, and get all the reminders and alerts, remember to like and subscribe. But until next time, thank you so much for joining me and happy crafting. Bye.